This is more on me than it is on anybody else. But I really hope that Flo is gonna make some kind of a statement because her video is trash. Trash worthy. Her video, if her video alone was only on the platform, now that would be cancel worthy. But she left out everything that I have in this document, and that is messed up.
Hello everyone, Flo here, and welcome back to another video. Before heading to the dumpster fire in front of us, we've gotta equip ourselves with disclaimers so that everyone is on the same page. The situation is still evolving as we speak, so while the timeline presented in this video is looking definite, more elements can be brought on the table that can lead to the info here being outdated fast. Before forming any kind of opinion on this matter, I suggest everyone takes time into reading all materials that are available in the description and finish this video in its entirety. I'd like to remind everyone that my channel is not a news channel, but a commentary one. Hence, I make comments on events that have transpired and think based on what's publicly available and the result of my own research. You have every right to not agree with me and my thought process, as long as you remain respectful and constructive about it. Another reminder to not attack and harass everyone involved in this video. That is not cool and you guys are better than that. This video will be divided into 3 arcs and different chapters. You can find timestamps in the description to come back to it if you'd like. And now that it is out of the way, how did we end up with the police involved? Viarrah has a non-profit voluntary team of 40 members named Starity. It is composed of artists, animators, and voice actors who contribute into helping Viarrah bring her stories to life. The night between January 25th and January 26th, Viarrah announced to her community Discord server, without consulting Starity beforehand, that she will be using AI to make her upcoming gacha music video missing piece. She justified herself by explaining how she can't keep up her standards while having a life anymore, and doesn't wish to waste more time than she already did on animating her stories. Given the tone of the announcement, she was resolute in her decision, yet still allowed discussions within her server about it. At first, it was peaceful. People shared their opinion and gave constructive criticisms, until more vocal people who are against the AI usage showed up in the conversation. Viarrah, overwhelmed and unable to stand it, impulsively deleted her server without warning. She then proceeded to head into her Starity team server and explain what went down, her thought process, while acknowledging she should have proceeded better by talking to the team about it first instead of keeping her struggles to herself. Her team gave feedback and their own opinions and criticisms on Viarrah using AI. What came out of it was that Viarrah wanted to distance herself from the community and changed her mind on using AI for animation, while planning on using it for conceptual work and backgrounds. From there, 4 out of 40 people left the team. Editor Flo here. In my previous video, I said half of the team left, which was inaccurate information given by Maven that wasn't corrected until Viarrah made her document. So wanted to mention this here. Sorry about that. The AI music video and the discussion that took place within Starity was deleted. Different users, not all from Starity, tried to reach Via and reason with her once more about the AI usage. Viarrah ended up backing away from AI for the sake of her team. She took accountability, but didn't in front of her audience, which led to... After the events of the community server, more and more people who weren't present during the announcement noticed that Viarrah's Discord server was gone and started questioning themselves if they were kicked, banned, or if the server was compromised. The links branded on her social media weren't working anymore, and the only place left to ask was under her public posts for a statement and explanation. Meanwhile, Maven, an ex-Starity member, barged in my DMs with what happened and presented me screenshots of the team discussion before she left. I then asked Maven if I was allowed to make a video on the topic with her evidence, but she suggested that I waited a couple of days and see if Viarrah addresses the incident on her own. We waited and noted changes based on different reports. The discussion got deleted, ex-members that left were unfriended or blocked, but nothing regarding a public statement of what she did, which made me think twice about reaching out to her myself. Days later, I stumbled upon this story she made on Instagram. She was in Discord, voice chatting with what appeared to be her team while drawing her character and used Gaga's telephone lyrics to show how she was busy. That didn't help her case at the time because for any person that had zero context of what happened but knew something went down somehow, this felt like I know I did something bad, but I won't address it because I'm busy. This story, along with the growing number of people asking for answers, was what pushed me to make the video. If she didn't want to address something she did wrong publicly and come clean to her audience about it, then I would. The main goal for that video was to bring awareness about Viarrah's recent actions and keep her audience in the loop. It wasn't to ruin her reputation since she chose to announce publicly she would use AI by herself. Nor was I trying to misinform or take things out of context. I made the deliberate choice to remove opinions, criticisms, and decisions made by Starty team members to not make the video longer and repetitive, as it's their choice to stay or leave. Same goes for the medical report Viarrah showed throughout the conversation. Out of the entire discussion, Viarrah showed in her following document, in red is what I received from Maven, and the yellow stars are what I ended up showing based on my reasoning and understanding of what I got. Blue crosses are the team's opinions and thoughts, and green spaces are random chatter with no new relevant information. The rest of your statements I did not receive, but given the context, they would have been considered repetitive without bringing new information. Based on this, the essence and context of their conversation was never altered to the point it changed topics entirely, so it wasn't misinformation. I'll also mention I don't do videos for clicks and views, cause clearly, this was not what I was looking for. After uploading my video, which was during the morning, I went on with my day. Meanwhile, the Story Team members that stayed saw my video and started to go at me. And not in the nicest way possible, even though I never included them in the situation. One even suggested mass reporting my video for misinformation in their team server. Ultimately, Viarrah saw it, and she was pissed at me. According to a member still in the team, they discussed arguments in their favor, private messages that were leaked without participants' consent, their opinions were cut, hence it doesn't show the full picture of what happened, and finally, I should have reached out, which ended up being in Viarrah's comment under my video. She said she would respond to what she did in due time. Viarrah then made a community post claiming I left important things out on purpose and that as a news channel, I should do proper research. She finally declared she would launch a live stream with no one to back her up and go over everything with full transparency alongside a document. Many already thought this was a bit extreme and that a document should be enough if things needed correction. But Viarrah went through with it, despite warnings that things are very likely going to be held against her if she slips up or contradicts herself, which ended up happening. She said she would be alone, yet was accompanied by a man named Fro, who is also a Story Team member. And Fro made comments about the situation without being involved in the first place.
No, I know I said that I was gonna do this alone, but because English isn't my first language, I don't want to say something on accident that people are gonna take off context again.
About the whole conversation and Flo nitpicking stuff, and yeah, just to clarify, because I saw a few of you in the comments, no, Flo herself did not have access to the Starity channel. She has never been a part of Starity. Some previous member from Starity who was disgruntled said some things that they had only partial information to. They were also prematurely saying things under misconceptions and did not have the full truth. They were making assumptions as well, which only inflated the situation. There was nothing to back what they said except for the few screenshots that were nitpicked and out of context. As you can see in the document, there is far more to the conversation. Mind you, it was a conversation back and forth between her and Starity. I can attest to that, and everyone else in Starity agrees.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me see if I can put your volume a little bit more up.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. You can talk now.
While the video came out, there were so many comments in there, and I tried to kind of get the situation a little bit under control. And under that video, while I was trying to explain to people to just calm down a little, that what was shown wasn't the full truth, people started literally name calling And some people are here not really for listening or anything. And it's kind of sad, like people will just come and hate. And about that, there's nothing anyone can do. So for some people, keeping on asking and insulting, what more do you want? It's not even trying to understand at this point.
Wait for it.
No, I don't think you can, but
Oh
I'm
my
going to try again.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say is that you have a whole team behind you. And the thing is that you're not alone. And what upsets me is that when it comes to all the people who are coming here clearly from Flo's video, clearly haven't seen this channel, or at least haven't seen you through the years and don't understand who you are as a creator. So I find it incredibly frustrating to see all this happening, only to see that they don't understand who you are truly as a creator. Only the tidbits.
She associated me with misinformation that originally didn't come from me and that I had zero knowledge of, further making me seen as unreliable.
Is if Charity is truly non-paid team, why am I paying some of them? This also just shows how little people know because nobody asked me, the person who is quite literally leading Starity and they claim is awful and they worked with, mind you. This was brought to my attention because the person who came to Flow got angry when they found out they weren't getting paid for the art while I commissioned other artists.
She stated she wouldn't use AI anymore, yet mentions how she will struggle without it since she has dyslexia.
Again, just know, in case I didn't make it clear, I will not be using AI anymore. Even though I'm so dyslexic, it's gonna be so freaking hard. But you know what? If people in Starity are genuinely and openly coming to me with some kind of an issue, if me, as a friend, as their leader, as someone who leads projects, it does not listen, then I do not deserve them, honestly.
She got accused of not making a statement because she was scared of criticism, to which she replied that it was incorrect, yet mentions later that she was ashamed and scared to make a statement as she didn't want to lose people.
It was just too much, not because, again, it was nothing about you guys that made me decide this. It was because I expected more from me, and that led me into backing away.
Editor Flo here, again. While I was writing the script, new evidence came to light which suggests Viarrah had been using generative AI for her music video before she announced it, unlike what she implied being recent, aka January 24th, and a few seconds, the extract linked with the announcement. She shared the following to her Discord community server as spoilers 2 weeks before, on January 11, which we verified via the platform Hive. The 20-second footage linked here was AI generated, with her voice added on top. If anything, this livestream was immature at best and unnecessarily long. On a factual standpoint, her document would have been more than enough to make her case, even though the document was also contradictory. And it should have ended there. Until at 1 hour and 16 minutes in her livestream, she made a point, which I must admit is correct, but the explanation that came with it is more than just explicit.
Flo should have reached out to first. I absolutely agree. This could have been ended up as a interview if she wanted to bring it something public and ask me how I feel about it. Mind you, she did reach to me when a Len Totally situation was happening. So she still had me friended on Discord. She could have came to my DMs, but she decided not to.
Little did she know this sentence would launch a domino effect. Not everyone who has watched or known me has been around during the Lentoli situation. This event has shattered the community into pieces, and the few remaining to tell you the tale still have scars of it. They will tell you there was a before and an after Len. Lentoli, once adored gacha tuber, role model for many, who massively promoted Gacha Club when it was being developed, ended up being exposed for such a level of inhumanity and corruption that even commentary channels outside of the gacha community covered it. It was everywhere. Videos of the time, like Curie's when Len was still trying to do damage control, or summary videos made years later, like Toastify's, are a constant reminder of how much Len was a danger to the community. Len was an adult man, preying on vulnerable minors, taking advantage of their innocence and his influence to benefit his twisted, lustful desires, and turning everyone against one another to avoid taking accountability. Most of you know about Sophia, the first known victim. Then came forward a 17-year-old around June 2022. And finally, Claire's story, which took place simultaneously with Sophia, was revealed in 2024 through me. But what if I were to tell you there was more? Something in hindsight that did much more damage than anyone could ever imagine. After years of profound research, allow me to tell you a story never heard before. How Len tried to come back to the community under a new identity, and he was helped for it. Let's go back in time. After being exposed, Len temporarily privated his channel for the first time in 2021. He brought it back up months later and started uploading content again. His last videos were Minecraft gacha content, and those in particular fed off. Not because he had comments turned off, obviously, but the visuals, the animation, that was not him. That didn't feel like him. If you checked the description under those gacha Minecraft videos, it was stated that those videos were not Len's, but rather someone by the name of Squad Antagonist. Or it wasn't just someone, or Len trying to rebrand again. It was people, an entire team, which was proven when literally Yuan made his video about the 17-year-old victim and showed the new channel Len was operating in secret, Antagonist. Len was making a voice-acted animated series with already 3 episodes in before being exposed again. He couldn't have possibly found new people to help him while starting from scratch under such a small amount of time. That means he already had connections. Good connections. People who knew what happened, yet decided to help him get back up quietly under a new alias. End of June 2024. Thanks to Claire's kindness, she shared with me valuable information about a group of friends Len had that stood by him even after the events of February 2021, the LDF Cafe, or Long Distance Friends Cafe. Those people, mostly composed of prominent gachatubers at the time, whether they were religiously believing in second chances or his innocence, or intentionally chose to stay, were my number one suspects of trying to bring back Len via Team Antagonist. But by the time I got the names, most of those people had already disappeared from the internet. With the testimony of an ex-member of Team Antagonist who had post-traumatic memory loss, and the new information I got from Claire, I took the gamble and went through the list, hoping to prove the existence of a team who had long since been deleted and buried for years. This was my first time having a conversation with Viarrah, and it was about whether she was truly implicated on this or not. This was a huge risk on my end. So when I confronted her about it, I was seriously worried I would be shut off. But to my surprise, she didn't deny it. She confessed everything, confirmed previous testimonies, and added her own story. The full conversation is in the description below, but allow me to summarize it, as since the beginning of the situation, people don't seem to want to read. Team Antagonist was composed of 30 to 40 members, mostly of young talents, aka minors. Its leader was Len, and he was accompanied by 4 or more admins, all adults. In all of this, Viarrah helped him create the series. She was responsible for coaching Len's writing and even voiced one of his characters. She claimed they didn't know one another much until after his initial exposure, and only exchanged professionally. Editor Flo here, again! After some digging, people helped me find Viarrah's original comment under the Oopsie video years ago. And I don't know about you guys, but this feels contradictory based on her confession I received. It is worth mentioning, however, so I'll leave it here. Len tried to get his new channel promoted via Viarrah, but she always refused. One day, one of Viarrah's close friends, a minor recommended to voice act for the series, saw Len play in the team's voice chat on Roblox. Wishing to get close to him, they joined the voice chat, only to discover that Len was in the middle of a Roblox condo. For those who don't know what a Roblox condo is, it is a Roblox e-sex game. You know, one of the things Roblox didn't do shit about for years. Said close friends reported their findings to Viarrah. Viarrah confronted Len and cut contacts with him immediately. Shortly after, June 2022, Len was exposed for grooming the 17-year-old, and every person within the Team Antagonist server was kicked, and later said server was deleted to hide all traces of such a group ever existing. The last thing Viarrah and I exchanged was about whether a 12-year-old or younger could have been inside the team. But given how children can pretend to be older than they actually are to enter projects, Viarrah had no clue. And here, I couldn't bring myself to continue asking questions and haven't contacted Viarrah since. Despite proving the existence of team antagonists and gacha tubers like Viarrah being involved in helping Len come back to the community under a new name, I was asked multiple times to keep the testimonies anonymous, and the ex-member who had memory loss after recovering what happened via my help wasn't as vengeful as they were in the beginning. After reaching a couple of fresh trails that led to dead ends, they chose to focus on their education and attempted to move on, which I respected. Most of my informants also disappeared from their social media accounts, which left me no other choice but to carry this knowledge alone, hoping one day the opportunity offers itself again. That opportunity was 2 years later, aka very recently, with Viarrah's livestream, which leads us to our final arc. When I told the story of Team Antagonist to Maven, she decided to immediately add it to her document, which was an overall ex-members of Starity's response to Viarrah's livestream and documentation. Maven's doc went over every claim with counter-argumentation, from already acknowledged elements to contradictions Viarrah made. Accompanied with those combined POV were brought new evidence. For example, Viarrah had already been confronted privately about the usage of AI before the incident, but based on the screenshot, it's hard to see whether both parties took it seriously or in a more lighthearted manner. The discussion channel where Viarrah explained herself to her team was also deleted, as confirmed by one member still in the team. Viarrah claimed she was reachable, but blocked or unfriended the members that left. Fro, who was referred as Joshua Moon in the doc, has shown signs of involvement inside and outside of the livestream. And finally, the context behind Viarrah's mention of Len with my evidence. The document also acknowledged their mistake regarding the misinformation spread about a member's payment and received several timed updates as new information came to light. Maven's document's first major update came after a heated discussion between Viarrah and her regarding the publication of the document. To put some context, Maven was initially unthreaded and blocked. Viarrah and I had throughout this time exchanged some words about my video and her livestream and shared our common regrets. I won't go into details on our full conversation, but its outcome was peaceful. Then Maven released her doc, which I sent to Viarrah after she told me that depending on the gravity of Maven's doc, she might make a video. After her initial reading, she went straight to Maven's DMs, and this is where their arguments started. The full conversation exists and can be found in the description, but if I were to point out the main outlines of this discussion, this is what I understood. Viarrah questioned Maven's motive as to why her document was released. Maven stated she, along with other ex-Starity members, were the ones putting this together and wanted to provide another side of the story while giving more context to some obscure elements, with Len totally. Viarrah already apologized for using AI in her project, and there wasn't a valid reason to drag this on with another document. Maven retorted that her apology felt forced, as she was losing face and people, instead of showing genuine remorse. Maven also tells of bad experiences she had with the AI Viarrah used, which was Grok, which further explains her motive. Viarrah replies in two ways. If you don't accept my apology, there is nothing I can do, and defend her use of Grok AI by saying, I will not stop using a platform just because someone else had problems with it. And as for Lentoli, I have nothing to do with him anymore. I waited until there was absolute proof on a situation I knew little about. Once the evidence came to light, I distanced myself. This second line implies that the original exposed video, the oopsie video she saw and commented on, the Curie video, all of those were not enough evidence in her eyes to make Len guilty. She only stepped away when someone close to her was affected by him. From there, the discussion becomes heated and focuses on Len. Maven thinks Viarrah had, and still has, a victim blaming mentality, ready to side with adult abusers because not enough evidence was provided by minor victims, which would undermine their voices. Maven also pointed out how Viarrah did not even question the gesture of pushing more minors towards Len despite knowing what happened. Viarrah fights back, saying that she didn't side with anyone until proof came out and she left, and doesn't like how Maven is trying to paint her as a pedophile defender. So she instead attacks Maven on her law studies and how she should know better. The conversation ends with Maven pointing out how Viarrah is unable to accept criticism and doesn't remove the fact she did harm on others too. She leaves stating that she will be adding the full conversation they had to her document. Maven's second update was written shortly after the first update. She received a legal notice by mail stating that Viarrah went to the nearest police station to make a statement, and if Maven didn't remove the document within 24 hours, Viarrah would continue the legal process. To Maven, this is an attempt at coercion by pressuring her to retract herself. With a police statement that only acknowledges Viarrah's side of events, we will go back on that later, it doesn't have the power to allow Maven to be investigated or be asked to remove any content she made about Viarrah, especially when both are from different countries. Viarrah lives in Croatia, while Maven is in the US. Later, Fro made a statement on behalf of Viarrah explaining to her community why they went to the legal path against Maven. Many in the comments pointed out how extremely disproportionate this measure was, especially when this all started from AI. Soon after, people spotted contradicting and unnecessary statements from Fro, such as immediately dismissing Maven's document as having no weight and not enough evidence, when it was a collaborative effort between many different people and sources. Maven, myself, ex-Starity members. Fro claiming to have been doxxed by Maven by referring to him as Joshua Moon in the document, which turned out was his legal name. However, people spotted him using a YouTube account and other socials by the name of Joshua Moon, responding to them way before this post. Fro accuses Maven of abusing her law authority when Maven is only a law student. She has law knowledge, but doesn't have the right to enforce law, especially for her own benefit, as she is no lawyer. Fro is painting Viarrah as someone who has suffered great injustice despite apologizing for it, and describes Maven, and me to an extent, as bullies trying to confuse and lie to everyone when she shot herself in the foot by taking the legal path. No one asked for her to do that. I have since tried to reach out to Fro in due diligence about his own thoughts on the case, but he declined my offer for a conversation. All that's left is a legal report that will apparently lead to nowhere since both sides decided to move on. So surely now that this has been acknowledged, we can take a look at the report itself, what was said, and what led to both sides not wanting to mention this issue anymore. Before proceeding, I'd like to provide evidence that Maven gave me written permission to show said reports within this video. Given that the police report is in Croatian, and since Google Translate sucks sometimes, I have asked a native Croatian to translate its content in English. And if you are Croatian and want to try to do the translation to verify this one, don't hesitate to comment down below if you found anything noteworthy that was missed in this translation. So when I initially read its content for the first time after being fully translated, I was dumbfounded by the sheer audacity of most claims made in that report. Because what do you mean Starity used to be a company between 2022 and 2025? I thought it was a non-profit voluntary team. Someone leaked a public announcement? The horror! Grok AI was also used out of curiosity, apparently, as if we didn't establish this entire time that it was a deliberate decision aimed for a gacha music video that lasted for 2 weeks before said announcement. There isn't proof as of now that Maven was initially okay with Viarrah using AI. In fact, Maven has been the most vocal about her opinions on the matter throughout this entire situation. Viarrah seems to state that everything up until this point about her not coming from her is false, altered, or out of context, and that she is being targeted, defamed, and attacked by Maven, whereas everything she did and has claimed to be doing is the 100% undeniable truth. Finally, when it comes to what she said about the Lentololi case, I'll rather read the translation myself. In that period, she, Viarrah, used to voice act characters for a guy named Len Tolly. He was apparently 19. The person named Maven never was in direct contact with him, but there was speculation that Len had an underage girlfriend, and everyone believed him to be a pedophile. And so did Maven joined in on that and believed it. Viarrah kept in touch with Len until there was concrete proof, but when there was, she cut contact. The person named Maven wants to call Viarrah out on working with a pedophile and spins that story around. I think we all know where this is going, so let's just get to the end.
I know that there's people who are gonna twist my words in here, but that's really on you after this. That is really on you. Now, lastly, know that I am sorry to you guys. I am sorry that I had disappointed you, and I am sorry that I did not include you into this. Flo's video was not properly explained. I didn't want to make it public. It wasn't supposed to be mentioned public. But if you're talking about the server thing, again, I did not know that I was gonna hurt the amount of people I have. Bro, who is Flo? It's a gacha tuber who covers drama in the community that nobody talks about, and she gets views and clicks and rage baits over it. I don't even know my guy.